All right, guys, this is Barcast number 22. Starting things off a little bit different today. If you guys recall from the last Barcast, Christian so graciously offered a bottle 1A of the old number 7 club, and I'm truly honored, and it's really, I'm still taken aback by the whole experience. But we have Rob here who's going to present us with today's bottle. I don't know if you want to add anything, Christian.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I pulled string, so I didn't offer it. I talked I talked to the owner, and 1A was it was actually the horse management bottle.
It's the manager bottle. Yeah.
That started out, and I don't think you guys really.
We still pour off of it, but
okay.
It's not.
So we're taking that over.
Cool.
And so we have Rob here. So Rob is manager of the horse, who also oversees the Jack Daniels Club.
Correct.
We'll talk a little bit about the Jack Daniels Club, but if you want to start, do you want to just start with like what the typical process is for the Jack Daniels Club?
Okay, so about 9 years ago or so, we started the Jack Club as a way to, obviously we're sponsored by Jack Daniels, so we wanted to do something special for them and come out with something. Over the years, it's grown to be about 600 members. Pretty large number.
I think the only thing left is to actually crack this sucker open.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
You want to touch it?
That's pretty awesome. 1A, baby, 1A.
All right, so then
That's
awesome.
All right.
One for our Barcast people.
All right.
You want to start, or do you want me to start?
I got it. All right.
Here is the toast competition.
right.
You're up, my friend.
To all the kisses we snatched, and the other way around.
Oh, that's the one. Cheers. That's the one I was gonna do. I knew that was gonna happen. That was mine. Well, all the kisses to be snatched and vice versa. Is how I was gonna say.
That's too funny.
That is.
Wait, you drank the whole thing?
Yeah.
What
it's the
about
first
mine?
one.
That's the whole idea. You got to do it. Oh, I didn't know.
We had to do mine.
Well, then
Oh,
I'll,
you do more than one?
screw it.
Get taking a shot.
Stay drinking, baby.
Yeah, I'll let you guys do the double.
Okay. Well, now I just have to think of my toast on the fly.
You offered it
So
up first.
I didn't tell you this, but I was going through toasts and I wondered, like, what if I run out of toast to find, like, on the internet? So I decided I'm going to start eventually coming up with my own toast. We'll see how that works.
Okay.
What was the other okay, I know my toast.
Okay.
You don't have your shot.
No, I'm good for
To-
one. I did a double that one.
All right, here's mine. To lobster tail and beer, my 3 favorite things. Cheers. Let that one
You
set.
know I'm going to steal those. Both of them.
Thank you very much, Rob.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Finish that.
Hey,
Thanks, bro. I appreciate
please come in and get a bottle of Jack. It's well worth it. Really is.
That's awesome. 1A.
it. To 100 bottles.
That's right. So what do you guys think of that? If you liked it, I certainly would appreciate a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content such as this in the Barcast with Christian and I, then subscribe to this channel. You know, Own the Chaos has evolved quite a bit. You know, and you know, we're talking about being your own boss. And yeah, it started off with trading, and I'm never gonna leave that alone. We'll still have trading videos out, but this Barcast has been something that I've been super, I don't know, just passionate about now. It was one of those things where like, well, hey, we'll just try to give it a shot and see what happens. But now I've like really grown to just love doing it. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
I agree. It's been incredibly arousing.
pleasurable entries and all. A bunch of inside jokes. But anyway, what's going on, man? So thanks again, by the way, like just for going through the steps to get that bottle. That's just awesome. You know,
You're welcome. We got to find a way. We have to find a way to get the people involved on the Barcast, the viewers, and get them the password somehow. We'll figure out a way to do that. But that'll be cool when we can have people who are viewing the Barcast who get to come to the horse you came in on and see our bottle and be able to actually drink from our bottle.
Yep. Yeah, so like anybody who wants to come down to the Baltimore area, hit me up. You know, there's plenty of ways to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to.
Hit me up too. You can find me on Instagram at cashier.
And yeah, but no, in all seriousness, you guys come down. You're in the Baltimore area. Hit me up. I'm all over social media. You know how to reach me.
But let's have a serious moment. I need to talk to the people for a second. I'm talking to you. Don't screw this up for everybody and drink the whole bottle in one night.
Yeah.
Don't be selfish. You're selfish. And ruin it, because I could see that happening for sure. This will only last for like 2 bottles. So just be responsible.
Yeah.
And think about the other people.
Yeah, we're trying to do a good thing here. Don't screw it up. But anyways, again, seriously, thanks. Like,
Yeah, of course.
That was just awesome.
So the talk today,
Yes.
podcast, is on when you should quit your job.
That's the topic for today. Yes.
And we talked to so we talked about when we were talking about you and how you kind of transitioned to quitting your job. There was other topics as well, but you talked about sort of the steps you took.
Yeah.
And
Can
you
I
touched
pause
a
a
little
second?
Yeah.
Because when we talked about that, I was wearing the same outfit.
That's true. That is true. You're right. I forgot.
This flamingo shirt is on point. I'm just saying. I guess I don't know. I love this shirt. Whatever.
Well, when your girlfriend dresses you, you don't have many options. Just wear the flamingo outfit again, would ya?
Don't you know?
Yeah, so we wanted to kind of dig into that a little bit deeper, right?
Yeah, but kind of get your story a little
Okay.
bit, because I think everybody's path to entrepreneurship and quitting that 9 to 5, quote unquote, is that path is a little bit different for everybody else. So I kind of wanted to not refocus, but just kind of turn the light back on you a little bit, because last 2 episodes were really heavily focused on just my journey. So I think giving different perspectives, could be important for folks that are watching. So we just kind of wanted to talk about your journey, and you've been unemployed, for what, a year now, right? Just about?
Almost. So 10 months.
Okay. So, for those of you who don't know, Christian was actually my college instructor when I was, started out in community college and then went up to a 4-year school. But you then moved on and then were at a 4-year school yourself, instructing there at Johns Hopkins University. And you decided to take the leap yet again and go off on your own, start your own business. And that's kind of how we reconnected. And so just talk about that journey a little bit and what led you to leaving your job.
Yeah, for sure. And I was actually full-time at Hopkins. I was still instructing at the community college.
Okay.
And so it's kind of had 2 jobs, but then started my business. So, we talked, like one of the first Barcasts, we talked about the idea of how entrepreneurs usually say they waited a little bit too long to make the leap.
Yeah.
And how that's kind of the common thread.
I think that's like episode 1.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I'm sure Volley's going to reference to that embarrassing moment. This channel is specifically dedicated to over-the-counter penny stocks and how I find success in it.
The second best time to quit your job, or the second best time is now.
Right.
And so with that, I think we all feel the same way, where it's like to take that leap makes you feel a little bit, you're usually overly cautious. But what you alluded to kind of made sense for me, in the sense of I had some concrete goals that I wanted to set for myself before I quit my job. So the first step is starting the business, but then the second step is actually quitting your job and doing it full time.
Yeah.
So my goal was, I actually quit my job about a little over a year earlier than I'd planned to. So what I did was I set a revenue goal for the year, money that I wanted to have in the bank, and basically it was like a year's worth of salary, so my basic needs were met.
Yeah.
So I knew that I wanted to have a certain amount in revenue, I wanted to have a certain amount in sales, and I wanted to have a certain amount of clients. And then when I did that, I would jump in. So I was about a year ahead of schedule. But one of the reasons why I did it was because I saw an opportunity that had presented itself. I had met, I was trending to hit my revenue goal, and I had met the expectations as far as clients. And then I saw the opportunity to grow even more, and I felt like I was being pulled in too many different directions. So I didn't have my savings goal totally there,
Yeah.
but I felt like if I had made the leap to quit my job, that I could get there quick. And so that's what I did. I basically put some things in order, but I had my contracts in place, so I felt like I was comfortable for at least the next 6 months to a year. And that's, that was me making the leap.
Yeah, and I think that's a good rule of thumb, just making sure. So obviously, we initially wanted to tell folks that, just go for it. Take that leap, right? But it's also got to make sense.
Yeah.
You're not just going to throw a dart and hopefully it lands on, on your mark. But, at least making sure you're prepared enough. Now, there's that happy medium of just overanalyzing and kind of like having that analysis paralysis. But I think there's a smart way to do it. And having 6 months to a year's worth of salary is, I think, appropriate to get yourself started.
Yeah.
Because if you start getting to that point to where, okay, I got to make a decision, things aren't working out, I'll just have to go back and find another job.
Yeah, so if I boil it down, I think one of the, some of the key things to consider when you're quitting your job, and there's two parts, launching your business, making the leap, and quitting your job, which could either happen the same time or happen separately.
Yeah.
Because some people feel like, all right, you're halfway in, how successful you can be. Other people will say, kind of get your feet wet, have the comfort of a salary, and then if you could see proof of concept, then, or if you have proof of concept, then go all in. So
Yeah.
I think either strategy is fine, but some things you want to consider are, I think one is having clear sort of metrics on when you want to make the leap. What do you have to have in place?
Yeah.
Also, I think eliminating as much as you can, minimizing distractions and stressors, and making sure that everything else in your life is in a good place for where you can jump in.
Right.
So the one thing with money is, if you have some savings, then you're not stressing about money. If every contract you have to get to live or to put food in your mouth, it's going to be really hard to walk away from a sale or to get the money you need. You could find yourself making concessions and contracts and devaluing yourself.
Yeah.
And it's really important not to do that. And so if you don't need the contract, it makes it a lot easier to negotiate and give you a position of leverage.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think that, I don't know, it could be also equated to kind of like trading. It's like you get your account down to a certain point, you've been losing, and so then you just try to force trades.
Yeah.
And it's like, then you end up just screwing up even more and taking bad stuff. And I can actually also relate that to just taking the first offer we were given. So I won't mention the brokerage that we were given an offer to make a partnership with WeTrade HQ, but it's like we were taking the first thing that was offered to us because it was like, oh my gosh, somebody's paying attention to me. And instead of kind of like evaluating the whole situation and understanding how that could, and honestly, looking back on it now, it was like, was that really the best thing for our members? Because the barrier to entry into that particular brokerage was $30,000. You couldn't even open the account for $30,000.
Yeah.
And having a platform of beginning traders, they're not going to have that kind of money to just open up a brokerage account with. So looking back on it, it didn't make sense, but because of the excitement of having like that first potential partnership, we took it. Lesson learned. Hindsight's 20/20, but it kind of relates to what you're saying. It's like not taking that that first client that walks in the door necessarily, unless it obviously it blows you away. But just taking a step back and looking at the whole big picture and like, does this make sense for me moving forward, and not just kind of like making decisions on impulse.
Yeah, and we should probably talk in the future about doing the right things and trusting the process and all that, because we're dealing with that now with WeTrade HQ. I mean, our meeting yesterday where we had just talked about this is this common theme that keeps sort of like making its way throughout everything we're doing, which is we've kind of forced the issue sometimes.
Yeah.
When the reality is, we just need to stay focused and stay with the process, and then it seems that things will work out.
Yeah.
Like in that same vein, you've sparked a relationship with Equity Feed, and when I first started, you were trying to get on board with them,
Been
and
a
you
year.
couldn't, and now sort of when it's been off our radar, ironically, they've been apparently keeping an eye on We Trade HQ, are interested in what we're doing, and that has just kind of come to the forefront. And
Yeah.
so we didn't force it. It did come out of the blue. And so if we just focus on what we need to do and keep our business tight, the opportunities will present themselves.
Yeah, I mean, just being patient, I think, is the toughest part, especially when starting out, because now that you have nothing to really fall back on, which is why it's important to have that 6 months to a year's worth of salary saved up, because the pressure's off a little bit.
Yeah.
I think though people make the argument of like, well, when you're backed into a corner, that really kind of shows the kind of person you are, the type of entrepreneur you are. But there's a certain level of preparedness that you need to have going into it as well. Because I think that I would agree with that statement to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. But now that we're to a point to where it's like we can sit back, examine the opportunity that's presented before us, and then say, okay, does this make sense? Because maybe having Equity Feed in our corner still makes a lot of sense and something that's super excited about. But now having learned my lesson with other past partnerships and business relationships, it's one of those things where like this is something that I know that I was super excited about in the beginning, but just taking a step back and just examining the whole big picture. How is this going to help our members, the folks that are in We Trade HQ, and does it make sense? Because at the end of the day, who knows? Maybe it's just something that doesn't, and then we just go our separate ways and be on about our business. But hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully that it'll all work out.
Well, and that first deal is going to be sort of the benchmark for everything else that happens. And so if you just kind of take the first deal or take a deal that's not favorable because you want to be a part of Equity Feed, then we may set ourselves up to be in a not desirable position in the future.
Yeah.
And so we always have to be willing to walk away, even if it's like Equity Feed. It's if it's something we want, and that's the ultimate position that you want to be from a negotiation perspective. Is it'd be nice to have a deal, but you don't have to have the deal. You don't have to make it work.
Yeah.
You'll still be fine.
Right. And so, having said that, I want to take a step back a little bit because I don't want to veer off too much from your journey to this point. So, I think it's safe to say that teaching is probably one of your biggest passions, aside from entrepreneurship. I would say that's probably 1A and 1B, because just from experiencing it firsthand, like your class was by far one of my favorite classes that I've ever taken. One of my favorite instructors. And, so talk about that. Is that something that you think that you'll end up revisiting into the future? Or, is that just,
absolutely.
Touch on that a little bit.
So I'll back up a little bit. I've always thought, not always, but I would say I've known for the past nearly decade almost, where like, the two things I wanted to do were teach and consult or coach. Like I thought that's where I was going to end up, and the coaching, consulting was going to be entrepreneurship. And my thought was eventually I want to get my PhD at some point in life, and my research will be sort of coupled with my entrepreneurship and working with my clients. And so I see that it's kind of like this symbiotic relationship that it has. I've always known that. And so that's been the cool thing. Once you know what you want to do, it makes things a lot easier.
Yeah.
And so I know people beat themselves up in their 20s. I had no idea what I wanted to do in my 20s. I thought I wanted to own a club. But once you travel the direction and the path, you figure things out, and you might shift a little bit. But I think your 20s are meant for trying things and meant for moving in a direction and then shifting and see where that goes.
Yeah.
But I started teaching sort of by accident, and that was almost probably like 6 years ago now. And so I started teaching, And then from there, that was like settled. I'm like, okay, I do love this and I plan to do this for the rest of my life. So it's on pause now because of my business, but I will go back to teaching. The other thing was I didn't meet that consulting piece.
Yeah.
And so my last job at Hopkins, I loved my job. My job was awesome. It was sweet.
Well, I mean, you were at the Johns Hopkins University too.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a big deal.
And my job was fun. I was traveling every other week. I was going on my own schedule and I could figure it out. Well, I remember this conscious thought I had, which was like comfort. Like, this is comfortable. I could do it forever, but it wasn't moving me any closer to my goals. It was just a fun job, which I would say is probably more dangerous than anything else. Because if you have a job you don't like, it's easy to quit a job you don't like. It's hard to quit a job that you love that everybody else wants.
Yeah.
And so I had to make a conscious effort to say to myself, listen, I'm gonna pursue what I'm passionate about. I don't want to be in this job that I'm comfortable with and 5 years down the road have not made any progress towards the other piece of my goal. So it was a tough decision to be able to step away from something I enjoyed, that I was making very good money at an institution that was prestigious, and walk away from that. But in my mind, I thought if I could be successful, I could travel wherever I wanted to go to. I could work with whoever I wanted to work with. So that was kind of the thought I had.
So you had like a little bit of a yes theory moment?
Yeah.
Seeking discomfort?
Yeah.
Shout out, Thomas. But no, I think that's the entrepreneurial spirit, is being uncomfortable. And what better case study do you have than living in it right here, right now?
Yeah.
So that when you go to like get your PhD or whatever, you can still, apply it to whomever you're going to be teaching. And you actually did that with us. I mean, when you were, instructing me when I was in college, it was like you were owning your own business then. So like, and you brought your problems into the classroom, which is probably the best part about your class.
Yeah.
I think that's why I enjoyed it so much, because every other class I was in, it was like business classes were all about just being in the book. There was hardly any real life application, and then you were bringing your own real life applications in it, and then making decisions not based off of what we were telling you, but like taking that feedback and just kind of like applying it to see how it worked, and then bringing it back to us. And so like we felt like we were a part of your business, and like that was the best part. So like using this as a case study, I think, is only going to be able to help future entrepreneurs. And I mean, this is what this is about too. Being able to show people how it is how our journey has been so far, and like learning from our mistakes or learning from our success and all that. So
and talking about the entrepreneurship journey, and also just to let people know they're not alone. Like, it's easy to feel alone in the journey, and hopefully through our experiences they can see that it's not uncommon what we're experiencing. But the other thing I wanted to bring up was one of the things that have been helpful has been having an outlet. And one is this, like our conversations, we were fortunate to start our companies around the same time.
Yeah.
But I also would urge anyone who's making that leap, again, from the stress perspective, to me, your success is going to be predicated on how you manage your mental. And so I have a mentor of mine who is my old boss actually at the community college, who I meet with once a month. And I just tell her, like, I look up to her, and she is strong in the areas I'm weak. And so first Thursday, so tomorrow actually, I'll be getting on a call with her the first Thursday of every month. She holds me accountable. I give her sort of what I'm trying to work on for the next month, and that helps me. So I would urge people to have some form of outlet. So between that and then our conversations, it allows me to address the mental aspect of entrepreneurship, which I believe is the most challenging piece.
Yeah, and I think that this in and of itself is an outlet, like just this whole Barcast. People think that we're just trying to do this we are, trying to do it for everybody else, but it also serves us a purpose.
This is for us.
Yeah, it really is for us.
And we can look back on this, and it'll be cool to look back and talk about the nonsense that we talked about and how our
especially in the beginning
evolved.
Some of the tips and tricks we were trying to give people.
Yeah. And so, all right, so I know we got a couple minutes left. We have the People's Toast.
Yes.
You want me to tell you about it?
Yeah. Sure, why not?
So the People's Toast, We basically have people submit their toast, and then we choose one. And so right now we're doing it on Instagram.
Yep.
So this People's Toast is brought to you by Freddie Valoy. So at Freddie Valoy, he has this toast that we're about to show. So check it out.
Let's toast to remember. Let's toast to forget. Let's toast to the weekend so we can get wet.
What'd you guys think? So this is going to be something that we actually do from here on out. So each Barcast, we're going to, request you guys on Instagram. So go follow me at Own the Chaos, at Cashier, whomever you want to submit it to, and we're going to pick our favorite one. So give us a toast, and maybe we'll air you on the next Barcast. So I think this is going to be great. I think it's going to be a way for everybody to kind of interact and be a part of what it is that we're doing every week. So let us know what you think, and that's going to be it for us today. We'll make sure that the toast goes at the end of the video, so make sure that you're staying tuned throughout the entire video to get to the People's Toast to see if you made it to the cut. So that's it for me, guys. That's it for Christian. Whatever, that's it from the Horseshoe Game House Saloon. As always, guys, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you all before the bell. Peace Smith is...
Here's to 96. Let's flip the script.